Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get into the epic news today, but before we do that, we're going to watch some hilarious content. So here we go. We have shout out Bubba. This video is titled Andrew Tate Just Had a Meltdown. And this is referring to Tate's battle with Chase Demore that happened a little while ago. This is a little bit of older news. But, self-proclaimed champion kickboxer Andrew Tate came back to fight. And, I knew as soon as this guy came back, I knew that, wow, he should not be coming out of retirement to fight. I think he's almost 40, or he is 40 at this point. He needs to just have a, just back out while he's on top, as much as he can be, and live out his legacy. But no, he decided to jump back in the ring with Chase Demore, a guy who is not even a renowned fighter. He's like a game show contestant. He's actually from around the area I'm from, and I think he's half black like Andrew Tate. He's a big kid, big strong kid. So we have Andrew Tate, a guy who hasn't been fighting for a long time. He was locked up in prison for, wasn't he in prison for like 4 years? Actually, I'm gonna look that up real quick. How long was Andrew Tate actually in prison? I was thinking he was only in prison for about a year, if that. Okay, so he was in prison for 3 months in Romania before being released and being on house arrest. So he has been on house arrest forever. But he was only actually in prison for about 3 months, it appears, which, yeah, that's still terrible. I mean, it seemed to be pretty bad for him. So he had the fight with Chase Demore, and I was like, why is this guy gonna tarnish his legacy, his supposed champion kickboxing legacy, fighting against this young buck who's ready to whoop some ass, Chase Demore, a guy who's not even a fighter? It was a lose-lose situation from the get-go, because if Chase beats him, Chase isn't even a known fighter. If Chase beats him, he's done. His legacy is cooked. No one's gonna give a fuck about his. They're gonna, at the very best, look at this latest fight with Chase as an unfortunate loss that he just shouldn't have even taken, a fight he shouldn't have even taken. And they're gonna just, say, okay, he had a good run, he had a good fighting career, and then he just took this one loss. He should have just not came back to fight. If he wins, then it's going to be like, well, okay, we kind of should have expected him to win because he beat some, young kid's ass. Granted, the kid, him being younger, being a kid, he has an advantage on Andrew Tate, and he's about the same size, if not bigger. He looked quite a bit bigger than Tate in the fight. They were pretty close, but Demore was definitely a little bigger. So it was a lose-lose from the get-go, because if he beats him, okay, great. He just beat some kid who's not even a fighter. And if he loses, wow, he was a trained fighter who lost against a guy who isn't. So I don't understand why he took this fight. He really just shouldn't have. He should have stayed in retirement and just, basked in his legacy. But I think maybe he really does need the money. I'm not really sure. Maybe he wanted to prove to himself that he can still fight. You know how that goes when fighters come back and they want to still feel like they can kick ass after a long hiatus, so they do a fight that they shouldn't have. That's exactly what happened here. So we're not going to play the fight. Shout out Bubba for the video. Let's check it out.
Back in there to find out, or I need.
You serious?
Welcome back to the Alpha Male Universe. Now, Bubba Army, be sure to report for duty.
Top G.
That have been pounded
We're going to skip ahead a little bit here. So this is specifically an interview he did after the fight, after the nightclub incident, where they played, that song in the club and had everybody freaking out. And what Steiny says at the beginning of the interview is remarkable. Andrew Tate We'll just play the video.
Crash out that Andrew Tate did with Steiny, where he can't really rationalize that he's fallen off. He's taken like more backlash still from this whole Miami fiasco. It's quite interesting, and it's going to make for a very entertaining AMU episode. So guys, let's get this show on the road.
All right, guys, we are here. I said it when he walked in. Top Jew.
You're Jewish?
You knew this. That's why you're here. Damage control.
No, no.
Is that not why you're here for damage control?
No.
There's no other reason you'd agree to do this.
No. Steiny, you and I are old friends. If you think I'm here for damage control, I'm going to walk out here right now.
No, I know you're not here for that. I know.
I have no damage control to try and partake in. Firstly, because that's not how I operate. Secondly, I didn't put on the song.
Right.
And if the world's upset that I said I didn't put it on, well, that's their problem.
Okay.
I'm happy.
He says that's not how I operate, damage control. If you guys have been following the story, what's been happening, basically all Andrew's been doing for the past, year? The past 6 months, all he's been doing is damage control. I like the little dog there, by the way. But he literally threatens to walk off the show if he basically asks him a damage control for the nightclub incident. And obviously that's pretty much why Steiny brought him aboard to talk about that. But since Andrew was so flustered and did not want to talk about it, and he makes that clear at the beginning of their interview, then they sway and then they go to, little Juice Steiny here smartens up and he decides to sway over to, we'll talk about your last fight, Chase Demore instead.
Happy being the bad guy. I've been the bad guy my whole life. I don't give a people like me, dislike me. I don't care who turns on me. None of that matters. I've always been the bad guy. But I'm not here for damage control. Okay. I've explained the scenario over and over again. Would you like me to start again?
Well, let's make one thing clear. We're both kind of like the villain roles. I'm kind of the bad guy too. Do you not think so?
Why are you the bad guy?
Do I not give off that villain, like stay away from this guy, like intimidation?
Steiny gives off more like evil nerd, like Peter Thiel, Bill Gates vibes. Like he gives off the not like an evil villain you gotta watch out because he'll kick your ass kind of guy, but he gives off the aura of a guy that will slip a little Jew potion into your drink when you're not looking and kill you.
At all? Seriously, I'm more of a villain than a hero, right?
100% Steiny.
Okay, so
I hate to share any sentiment with Andrew Tate, but I have to agree that this Steiny guy is an absolute joke. I have no idea really why he's so hated.
Yeah, I love how Bubba shits on Steiny too, because Steiny is a fucking clown. Nobody likes Steiny. His whole persona is basically him being shat on. Nobody likes him. He's been propped up by the Nelk Boys, I think it is. The Nelk Boys. That's the only reason why anybody knows who he is.
Whether it was in Croatia, Dubai, back here in America. So when I saw that clip, you guys did look out of place. But with that being said, you still all did agree to group together and do the stream. So that was obviously a possibility that something could go wrong.
I don't think so. I actually think the lesson here for me, because I'm a full-grown man, and I'm always trying to draw lessons from it. My lesson here is not anything to do with internet or what they think or comments or people's opinions of me. My lesson doesn't come from the song. My lesson doesn't come from the backlash, none of those things. My lesson here is to stick to my morals about avoiding people. Mm-hmm. There's a particular person in that group who everyone's saying I sold out. His name is Sneaky, and he's a piece of shit, and he deliberately did something to get clicks for his views, not understanding it's going to put me in jail. And why should I hang around with people who will put me in jail for their clicks? Would you hang around with someone?
So right here, of course, this is, he puts all the blame on Sneaky, as he calls him. Cucko, Sneaky. Sneeko. He puts all the blame on Sneeko and says, it was his fault. He played the song that he knew would get me thrown in jail. I think, for one, I don't think Sneaky knew that they would attack everybody as hard as they did. You saw Myron and Sneeko in the original live stream. I saw a clip where they said after they were leaving the club with, I think they were in the bus with Clavicular. Yeah, Sneeko, Myron, Clavicular. I think they all may have been there, but they were even asking Clavicular asked them like, "Oh, what do you think will happen since we played that?" And Sneeko and Myron both right off the rip said, "Yeah, they're gonna probably write some articles about us. They're gonna, some liberal news sites are gonna definitely make some articles." So they knew there was gonna be some backlash. I just don't think they knew how tremendous it would be. I think that they thought probably, yeah, some liberal news outlets will write a hit piece on them, like no big deal. I don't think they even knew that they were going to get banned from every club in Miami. And they clearly didn't do it to get Andrew Tate thrown under the bus. I mean, Andrew Tate's just jumping to conclusions thinking that they did it to attack him. No, I don't think they did it to attack him at all. I think that's absurd. And for Andrew to not know who did it, but then he just blames Sneaky right off, immediately blames Sneaky, the guy in the group he doesn't like. He doesn't really have a problem with Myron. He doesn't know, I don't think he knew Nick or Clav before meeting them there, but he didn't like Sneaky. So after the event and after all the backlash, he's just like, oh yeah, I'll just blame it all on Sneaky, that little prick, Oh, Sneaky did it, and he knew I would get in trouble. I disavow Sneaky and everything he does. The whole relationship with him and Sneaky has been really weird because it was like I don't follow everything all these guys do or anything, but I was there when I saw all the first interactions with them when Sneeko went over to Andrew's house in Romania to meet him for the first time. And it was a really weird, awkward situation. Sneeko's just kind of an awkward guy, naturally, I think. He's like, Sneeko is kind of like, Sneeko's cool, but he's kind of like the gay theater kid. He's just kind of nervous everywhere he goes, and he's kind of awkward. And you could definitely see that energy with him and Tate when they were interacting for the first time. They didn't really interact much at all. They didn't really talk much at all. But you could tell there was like a weird tension there. And the reason why there would be is kind of anybody's guess because they're both such similar kind of guys anyway. They're both kind of a similar mind to some extent. You would think they would get along great, but and Andrew's like double Sneeko's age. I think when he met Sneeko, Sneeko was probably 19 or 20. He might have been like 21, 22. It was a while back. It was almost like 5 years ago at this point. Yeah, I think Sneeko just looked up to Andrew Tate as a guy to respect and kind of admire. And as a not really a father figure, but he just looked up to him as a leader or whatever. And Tate's kind of like, who's this fucking dork? Who's this fucking weirdo? He just didn't like him immediately off the bat. I don't know why. Seemingly for no reason. They didn't really say anything. They didn't really talk even at all. There wasn't anything clear that would make you know why Tate doesn't like Sneeko. It's just like, wow, Tate doesn't like Sneeko for some reason. Okay, like whatever. But to see how they've been beefing ever since then, and to see how Sneeko's been thrown under the bus as of recently with all this bullshit, it's really pathetic from Andrew. And all the drama bullshit aside, Sneeko this, Sneeko that, Tate this, who gives a fuck about either of these guys? For anybody that liked Andrew, any of Andrew's fans, back in the day, any of his recent, I don't know who watches this guy still. This guy's basically disavowed everything he got popular off. He used to be all about, toxic masculinity, whatever you want to call it, standing up for yourself, never backing down, never apologizing, never explaining yourself, to these dummies, these dumb bitches, never backing down for who you are, standing up for what you believe in as a man. And taking accountability for everything in your life, and those were some of the positive things I got from him when he was starting out. And he seemingly backtracked on all of that stuff. You know, everybody who watched him back in the day, everybody that was a fan of him, wanted to see him come out after this nightclub incident and just say, hey, you know, they played a stupid song in the club. Who gives a fuck? You know, that's what everybody wanted him to say. And that's how he could have saved his credibility. Just say, hey, I don't know who played the song. I don't even know. He shouldn't have even said, I don't know who played the song. You know, somebody else played the song. It wasn't me. He shouldn't have even said that. He should have just said, hey, I played the fucking song and fuck you. That's what he should have said. But no, instead we see him, you know, and then at least he could say, well, I don't know who played the song, but I don't give a fuck. It's a dumb song anyway. You know, it's a stupid song. Who cares? You know, I don't really like the song. He could have said, I don't even like the song. I don't know who played it, but who cares? What's the big deal? And instead we have him backpedaling, backtracking, disavowing Sneeko, disavowing Sneaky, disavowing the song itself, disavowing anti-Semitism and racism. It's fucking pathetic, and it's really sad to see him go this way based on everything he built his character off of. That was his online persona that everybody liked, the unapologetic asshole. You know, that was what young guys needed. And we see him now just completely going back on everything.
Who would do something which is going to put you in a cell so they can get views on the internet.
No, honestly, I thought you might be doing something to me when you were pulling up here, but now I know you're in here, I feel okay.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, that's just a piece of move.
Well, you guys have been...
But that doesn't make... that kind of person's not your friend. You don't owe them any kind of loyalty at all.
Right.
They're a
I like the dog with the coffee, by the way. Shout out Bubba. That's really funny.
bad person, and karma will deal with him. And I should have known better. When Clav and Nick said, we want to bring Sneeko, I said 5 times, I don't like him. He's weird.
Does anyone legitimately believe in their heart of hearts that Andrew Tate's actions are not motivated by how the public gives him feedback? He wouldn't be so upset by Steiny's original joke in the beginning if he didn't care about what people thought about him. So that is just total bullshit in my eyes. In my opinion, I think that's total bullshit. I think he does read probably a ton of hate comments about him. I mean, you have to understand this is probably the most hated alfalfa male in the entire world. I'm not going to take that away from him. He definitely got infamous on a global scale, but I really think that the criticism gets to him and he puts on this act that he is this macho man. It's a very common trope to happen here in the AMU, but I don't buy for 1 second that he doesn't care what people said about him with the backlash of the Miami club incident. But you know what? It's kind of weird though, because he says that, oh, I'm a grown-ass man, I'm gonna take accountability for what I did. But then did you notice he also shifted a ton of blame on Sneeko? Just like the same type of strategy he did when he got mollywopped by Chase Demore.
Clav and Nick said, we want to bring Sneeko. I said 5 times, I don't like him. He's weird. And I was proved right. So the lesson here is to stick to my morals and avoid pieces of... He's going to have to live the rest of his life insignificant.
Is he the only person to blame in the situation?
I don't know if it's about blame. I don't know about blame. I'm saying that I wanted to avoid that particular person. He was...
Okay, stop right there. And he says, I don't know if it's about blame. I'm not trying to like, dude, you just blamed Sneeko. Like, what are you talking about? It's not about blame this. It's not about blame that. And then that's exactly what you're doing here. I mean, we can't have this kind of inconsistency. It's either... You know, it's either backpedal and defend every action you ever do, or be the unapologetic, you know, non-apologizing, you know, non-apologizing, it's the same fucking thing. Be the asshole, you know, be the villain that you talk about being, Andrew. You know, now we have him being the fucking cuck. You know, now he's not the villain anymore. He's being the fucking cuck. Going back and defending every action he's ever made, anybody around him's ever made. Oh, I had nothing to do with them. Dude, just stand on business. Like, what are you doing, dude? And, hold on, I need to add something here, actually. I'm gonna go to break really quick. I need to add a content screen here. Give me 1 sec, guys. Give me 1 sec. It's gonna be here. Screen's gonna be going back and forth. Give me 1 sec here. Oh, there it is. The galaxy background. Okay. Okay, is that good? I think that's good. Let me webcam zoom, break interval, content screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna have to change a couple things here, but we're good for now. Back to the video. Actually, where's the soundboard? Soundboard's good. Okay. Okay, we're good. Okay.
The one to put on the song. He's been the one kicking up a fuss ever since. He's the one who keeps, making these clips. This whole subject to me is boring.
Yeah.
It's been 12 days. Like, who gives a
Right.
But yeah, the lesson here for me is avoid piece of people, and he can continue to make his streams and insult me and say what he wants to say, and I'll continue to do big important things in big business and be one of the most well-known people on the planet.
Yeah.
And our paths will go different ways, and I'll matter and he won't. And he can sit there in his little New York apartment.
This guy is totally coping and seething. Like, he is mad pressed over Sneeko constantly trolling him here on YouTube. If you look over on Sneeko's YouTube channel, he is constantly calling himself Top G. Not that I support Sneeko at all, but I find it hilarious that this trolling that he does absolutely rattles Andrew Tate. For someone who is globally known, he's incredibly soft when people talk shit about him. And he wants to also insist that he is not passing blame onto someone else. Well, what is up with this guy saying that he is a good judge of character by insisting, Sneeko's a bad guy? Yeah, but you were hanging out with Nick Fuentes, who is a known political grifter, and Clavicular, who is a straight up bitch. Like, there's just no other way to put it. And that guy recently got arrested in Arizona for begging for substances on the streets of Scottsdale and showing off him using an illegal fake ID to get into the club. Yeah, great judge of character there. Great judge of character there, Andrew. So, you know what? Let's continue on with the podcast. This is just getting more entertaining.
On that topic is you're included in the ban from every club and restaurant in Miami?
No idea.
You don't know?
I don't know.
If you are, is that a problem for you?
Firstly, I don't think I am, because I think they said that because they don't want streams like that taking place anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think they know that if a lot of those people go into those establishments, they're going to be streaming and causing problems, etc. If me and my brother, without any of them, turn up to a restaurant or a club, I'm sure it's going to be 100% fine.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, the Tates, they're good. Are they with the clowns? No. Okay, they're good.
My biggest thing about them, when I saw the clip of them playing the song in the club, is that you understand that 75% of the money being spent probably is by Goldberg and Finkelstein.
I don't know.
Okay, well, it's probably...
Well, I didn't know that. None of that crossed my mind. When the song came on, I was just like, yeah, whatever.
I think you can agree when the
Yeah, he should have been thinking about Goldberg and Sheckelstein's feelings when he entered that club. As soon as he heard that song, it was his duty to drop to his knees and start praying to Hashem for the music to stop, because he needs to really, like, what the fuck are you talking about, Steiny? He needs to occupy himself with the feelings of Shlomo when somebody starts doing something deemed anti-Semitic. I mean, this is a joke. What a joke.
The song came on, the 42 bottles weren't ordered at that moment because all the Jews stopped turning up. You can't turn up to Hail Jewish, right? We can agree on that.
I mean, half those bitches in the club that were turning up probably were. Like, it's a banger song. I don't think they care, about the controversy at all. They just hear a banger, they start turning up. It's like, whatever. It's not a big deal.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know the everyone's saying Jews run Miami. Bro,
There's just a lot of them.
Bro,
there.
I've been in jail.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just a guy.
Right.
You know what? I'm just a guy.
I'm just a guy. I'm not the villain anymore. I'm not the hero. I'm not Neo breaking out of the Matrix. I'm just a guy. You know, leave me alone. I'm just a guy. Which one is it, Tate? Are you the guy or you're the badass? You know, like, I mean, man, this is just the nail. This whole situation and all these interviews he's done after the fact are really just the nail in the coffin for him. As far as his alpha male persona, I mean, he's done. There's no coming back from this. You know, I mean, this is what a lot of old fighters do when they come back and they come out of retirement. They get their ass whooped, and then they all of a sudden switch. They realize, you know, it's kind of like they had a midlife crisis. They come back into the ring. They think they're gonna whoop ass like the good old days, and then they get oftentimes humiliated. You know, they get historically humbled in an embarrassing way, and then they have to have an ego. Their ego's crushed, their ego's destroyed, so they have to do a mental switch. They can't stay the same guy they were before. They can't stay that feisty, young, I'm gonna whoop your ass guy anymore, because they know they can't do that anymore. They have to switch their mentality into grandpa mode, into I need to take care of my kids mode. I need to take out the trash and do the laundry mode, you know, and this is exactly, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a natural evolution of life, you could say, or whatever, but this is exactly what Tate's done. And why didn't he I just wish he would have done that without coming back into the ring. Just coming back to the ring was a massive mistake. Like, what were you thinking, Andrew?
This is hilarious to see the Andrew Tate character break down in real time when he just gets absolutely flustered. He's like, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy. What does that even mean? And also, I gotta point this out, and I know it's gonna sound weird as hell, but has anyone ever thought that Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate's brother, is like the biggest, nastiest meat writer of all time? I understand they're brothers, and that's probably gonna be like, whoa, what are you talking about? Okay, but I just get the vibe that Tristan Tate, if he didn't have his brother, he would be a literal nobody. Like, no one would know him without his brother. So in a way, he's like the biggest meat writer of all time. Like, all of his quote unquote success comes from his brother, who he has constantly been a cheerleader for. I don't know. That is just so weird. I know some people are gonna be like, that shit, you saying a brother.
Yeah, and you're not alone there, Mr. Bubba, because, I mean, even GG33 said himself that if it wasn't for Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate would still be eating KFC out of the garbage can. I mean, this guy, I think they had a brotherly duo when they rose to fame. I think that the opposition of each brother really helped balance them out and drive them to the success that they had. I don't think that they could have got as famous as they did without the other. But it's clear to see Andrew was the driving force. I mean, he was the name that got famous, right? It's, Tristan Tate basically, I won't say he rode on the coattails. I think he did a lot. I mean, they do everything together. They live together and everything. So you can't say that, okay, he would have been successful just by himself, but I don't think he would have been as successful without Tristan. I'll just say that.
There's meat riding each other. Just bear with me, okay? I just like to say things for how they are. So let's proceed with the rest of the video.
And if anyone thinks it's bad that I told the world the person who played the song, well, then they don't understand the world. That's it.
Well, I don't think Tate even knows who actually played the song. He really doesn't. He just wants to blame Sneeko because he hates his guts. I don't think he actually knows who played the song, and that's what everybody basically said at first. Myron said, "Oh, I played the song," because he just wanted to take blame for it. "Oh, I played the fucking song, it was my mistake." That's what Tate should have done. He should have done that even if he didn't like Sneeko. He should have just said, "Hey, I played the fucking song," but, big fucking deal. But, wow. wow, the cope is insane.
I'm really concerned now, Steiny, because we are talking about this incident and we started this podcast with you saying I'm doing an apology tour, which is not what I'm doing. Every time I'm in America, I do a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
No, I know.
So unfortunately,
All the podcasts, the PBD podcast, I believe that was the first one he did after the incident. Every podcast he's done since the incident has been an apology tour. So whether he wants to admit it or not, that's what it is. I mean, it's really pathetic. This podcast ended up being more of an apology tour for the Chase Demore fight, and that one's the real disgrace. You know, the song, to me, the song's not really a big deal. The song's like, who cares? It's just a stupid song. Like, anybody out there, if you're actually offended by the song and you think they should, like, go to jail or whatever for playing it, I mean, you're just stupid. You know, it's just a song. Who fucking cares? Big whoop. The outrage over the song, that's the problem. You know, why are people getting mad at, you know, if that's the logic we're going to use as a society to get mad at people for playing this kind of music, why not just get mad at the guy who created it in the first place? Isn't he like Hitler himself? Wouldn't the guy who made this music be like Hitler reincarnated, like if it was that big of a deal? But we're just getting mad. You know, he gets a pass because he's a gay black cuck, apparently, as he says in, I think, that same song, right? He says he's a cuck or whatever. You know, we can give him a pass, but then now whoever plays his song, oh, they're in big trouble. We're going to get them real good. You know, we're going to ban them from every nightclub. I mean, give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. Let's continue on the video here. One sec, I have to... Okay, there we go. Okay, we're good.
podcast I've done has mentioned, and it's gay.
But let me just ask, why was the decision to go to the nightclub?
Because Nick Fuentes had never been to a nightclub before.
So that was the decision. Is like,
That's the only reason I went. Otherwise, if they said, we go to the club all the time, it's not, there's no way I'm going to a club.
there's a clip of you saying, I want to myself. When someone said, I think they were like, yo, how you doing?
Yeah.
I
And
think-
if they want to, yeah.
Like, none of you guys wanted to be there.
No, clubs suck.
And there were no girls with you, which was surprising. Is that not top G of you?
The whole thing isn't very top G of him. I mean, he said he wants to kill himself. Somebody panned the camera to him and he said, I want to kill myself. Does that seem very top G of him at all? Like, what happened to this guy? I thought this was the kind of guy who would never even say such a thing. I mean, obviously he's joking, but still, like, wow.
You don't
All my
understand.
girls are home. Top
Yeah.
G has his girls at home. Top G's girls aren't in the club.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Oh, that's right. The whole religious angle too. You know, he's a devout Muslim now too. He can't be sinning with these harlots in the club anymore. He can't be drinking alcohol anymore. See, I think that might have been it. Maybe that was the thing that kept him partying and living it up so long, was the girls and alcohol. Because if you have the alcohol, you have a reason to do it, and you have a drug, a horrible drug that'll get you there and get you to enjoy it. Without the drug there, what's even the point? What's even the point of going to the club at all if you're not going to drink and talk to hoes, I guess, right? I mean, just the alcohol is probably what kept him going so long.
That's why
My
I was
girls
so
are at
confused.
home.
Okay. The other reason I thought you might have been in Miami was I thought you were going to be in attendance. I just have to get your opinion. I really wanted to see you front row at Jason Love versus Adam 22, and I didn't see you there. What is your overall interpretation? Where are we at with the internet and life these
Dude, Jason Love and Adam 22, holy shit. Probably the most disgusting thing that that could have ever happened. It was pretty lackluster. You know, Jason Love just whooped on him a couple times and he was done. You know, I had to watch it. I was like, I gotta fucking watch this. But the fact they had Lena as the plug girl, Lena as the fucking ring girl, Lena the stupid whore as the ring girl. It's like, man, this is just like foreplay for the next fucking porn shoot they're gonna do. They're gonna do like, you know, Adam loses the fight and then his follow-up to it is gonna be like the fucking second episode where Lena gets smashed out by fucking this Jason Love guy for episode 2. Like, this is what it seems like they're doing, because the fight, it was so fucking stupid. I don't think Adam jumped in that fight possibly thinking that he was going to have a real boxing match. He didn't even prepare for the fight at all. He can't fight worth shit. Adam fights exactly like you would expect a cuck to fight. So that whole thing was just a fucking disaster.
Days when you have
Let's continue the video.
Adam 22 fighting Jason Love with Lena as the ring.
I can't get over how like rattled Andrew Tate is from that opening joke. Like, it's been 10 minutes in the podcast. I've just like sped through some of the more boring parts, but it's been 10 minutes and he's still.
Shout out Bubba. Check him out for the full video. Bubba. I like this this icon he's using. What is this? It looks like Keanu Reeves from that Bill and Ted movie. Bill and Ted Go Back to the Future or whatever the fuck. It looks like that body, and then it's got like Jabba the Hutt as the head. I don't know how the fuck he came up with this shit. That's pretty funny. Bravo. So yeah, it's really pathetic what has become of Andrew Tate. I was only going to cover that video, but I think I'm going to go into another video here with Andrew Tate. We're going to cover this video as well. I want to cover this video as well. This was absolutely pathetic. And wow, actually, Sneeko, I didn't even know this. Sneeko was on DJ Vlad doing a... I fucking hate DJ Vlad. I don't know about you guys. DJ Vlad is the worst. He was in a DJ Vlad interview, it looks like here. Who, of course, had to cash in on the drama, right? He had to jump in and get his 2 cents. So here we go. And then we're going to watch Andrew Tate and Sneeko. Sneeko talking to DJ Vlad about the incident. And this is actually very recent. This is from 6 days ago. So, this whole incident happened, what was it like? I feel like it was a month ago at this point. I guess it was a little while ago. This was only from a couple days ago. So this isn't old stale news yet. We're going to ride this bullshit out and make as much content on it as possible, guys. Okay.
Well, all this happens and all hell breaks loose. And from what I understand, Ye was actually bothered by it because he was already kind of in the process of trying to distance himself from that. Did you and Ye talk about that song and kind of like the whole hoopla that came from it?
I'm not going to speak about that.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll speak about that. So the whole thing with Ye was that he was mad that, Sneeko and Nick, these guys actually know Ye personally. They're like his little butt buddies or whatever. Ye, basically, after making that song, it was literally like the next week after making that song, he came out and said, he did basically what Andrew Tate just did. He came out and said, I disavow anti-Semitism. I disavow that song that I made. And he basically went on his own little apology tour. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, he did do that. And, he's basically, I don't know if he's actually genuine or if he just is doing that because obviously he's in the big music industry. His Jewish handlers told him that he needs to bend the knee if they want to keep supporting his work and, helping him out. I think that's probably what happened. So he came out saying, I disavow that song. I disavow Nazis. I disavow anti-Semitism, blah, blah, blah. And it's not like he was actually, he's a black cuck. So it's not like he was actually a Nazi anyway in the first place. If you have a brain, you can understand that the song is kind of tongue-in-cheek. It's not being completely literal. That should be obvious to anyone with a brain, but with such an offensive song such as Nigga Heil Hitler, it's just it's hard to believe that you're not an actual Nazi for making such a song. It's horrible. It's just horrendous.
Okay, so all this happens, and then the various people from that crew start to address it in different ways.
Everybody folds.
Andrew Tate does a podcast. He said,
I just want to say, Andrew Tate, Sneaky here looks incredibly Filipino, doesn't he? He looks incredibly, I think he looks a little more Indonesian and Mexican and Malaysian than usual, doesn't he? I think it's just the lighting. I think Vlad put the yellow lighting on him.
he did not sing along to that song. He didn't make the salutes, the Nazi
He's
salutes.
laughing at my joke.
I really didn't do anything wrong. So I want to make this clear. I understand.
Okay, so here's Tate now. I'm glad they showed this. This is the clip of him at the PBD, the Peanut Butter David, Patrick Bet David podcast, where it was like this whole podcast was like an attack on Tate. It was like they brought him in there. It was like the mafia brought him in and they all surrounded him with a gun to his they were pointing a gun at him under the table, and they're like, you better fucking apologize for what you said to us. And it was like they cornered him. It was really weird because he could have just said, hey, fuck you, it's a silly song. He could have said no big fucking deal. And what would they have done? They would have cried about it. They would have said, oh, you can't say that. It's so anti-Semitic and blah, blah, blah. And, you can't really think this is a good idea. Like, they're so pandering to society and the audience in general that it's really, I don't know who even watches these guys anymore. These guys are like, they're like such normies, these guys, the Patrick Bet David podcast. These guys are so middle of the road, normie, go with the mainstream opinion. They have they will not obfuscate from the mainstream opinion. If it's too political, if it's too raunchy, if it can get them in trouble, they're just gonna ignore it completely and disavow it. That's exactly what they do. And that's what they sucker Tate into doing. I guess he already had his mind made up. He was already in damage control mode at this point. He's like, I can't be... He's like, I can't allow my Bugatti to be banned from every club in Miami. This is terrible. I can't have this happen. I'm the top G, god damn it. That sounded more like Piers Morgan or something, but I've done a good top G one before. I'll have to reel that back in, but it was terrible. It was terrible seeing Tate fold like this. This really was the final nail in his coffin, and all the other podcasts he's done following these were just like spitting on the fucking grave of Andrew Tate, of the top G. We can't have Sneaky be the new top G. Really? Sneaky? Like, I love Sneeko, but, we can't have, is this guy the top G? Maybe Myron's the top G. Like, this is crazy.
Why some people were offended. I understand they want to attach it to my name. I understand that it gets clicks in the media if you say Andrew Tate did X, Y, Z. I got on a bus. Full-grown men made decisions while I sat on my phone. I then got off the bus and stood in a nightclub while other people played songs while I sat on my phone. If they want to crucify me for that, that's up to them. Myron made the Nazi salute because he thought it was funny. That's Myron to come here and defend.
Of course.
It's not for me to sit here and come here and defend. Myron is someone I know and I respect and I like. Even if he did something that offended me, even if I found that offensive, I would still say, okay, well, I like Myron.
Right, he retracted the intent. Kind of like the girls accusing him of human trafficking. It's like you sleep with a guy. I regret it. I didn't mean to. It's like, come on, man.
Right. And he blamed you on social media posts and said you played the song during the event.
Yeah.
Now, you responded to him, and you said he's no longer the top G.
Stole that shit. Give me that. Yo, Vlad, I talk facts. I talk facts. You don't know what to do with that top G. Give me that.
So you're the top G now?
I'm top G. I'm a man of my word.
Okay.
I don't fold under pressure. It's a song. We're supposed to escape the Matrix. Isn't this the Matrix? If they're going to go browbeat you, if the mayor's going to say I'm banned from Miami because of a song, that is literally the Matrix. So I'm not going to try to put blame on other people. I am not going to.
Yeah, let's pause that. This whole thing about the Matrix, Andrew Tate escaping the Matrix and all that shit. Look, Andrew Tate is the biggest slave to the Matrix. He hasn't actually ever broken away from the Matrix and separated himself from it. What he essentially did And you know, I don't even discredit or disavow him for doing this. It's kind of the best case scenario. It's kind of the best thing that anybody can do. He crawled to the top of the matrix, made himself rich, made himself popular, got social media fame. He basically crawled to the top. He's like the king of the goy. He's like the top goy, basically. He's not he's not really the top G. He's like the top goy because he basically made himself king of the Matrix. Now, with that being done, he's still tied to the Matrix. He's still part of the Matrix. He is still overruled by the real rulers of the Matrix, who are not him, but these these elites and all these people, the globalists, right? Alex Jones, the fucking globalists that actually run our society and dictate what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do, who will allow us to own property, or rather not to own property, who dictate how we're able to live, how much taxes we have to pay. Those people are the real leaders of the Matrix, and what Andrew did was smart. He just climbed to the top of the social hierarchy of the Matrix and became the top goy. That's really what he did, and that's a tough task to accomplish. But as we can see, he ended up. What happened to him? What happened to most people that fight against the Matrix? He got arrested. That's what happens to most people that combat the Matrix. If you try to break away from the Matrix fully, and especially if you're somebody of renown who tries to do it, or if you try to climb to the top, and then you gain so much influence like Andrew Tate did. They had little kids. They had schools in the UK and in the US, I think, for that matter, banning just the name Andrew Tate. You couldn't say Andrew Tate or you'd go to detention. That's how influential this guy got, that little kids little kids weren't allowed to say his name or they'd be sent to detention by the teacher. I mean, that's fucking crazy. And when somebody gets popular enough like that, well, the Matrix, hey, they see them as a threat. They're starting to get a little too much power. We don't want them to overthrow us. So we're going to throw them in jail. They're, whether you believe the trafficking allegations and whatnot that Andrew was accused of, I don't believe any of that was true. I won't completely disavow it because there's a possibility that, yeah, maybe he did do some bad stuff and maybe those girls were telling the truth. But we see that happen so often with this whole Me Too and Hollywood movement and everything, where these girls are just, they'll accuse any rich guy of anything so they can get a quick buck. I mean, that's what it's kind of boiled down to in our society. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. And all those girls that do that obviously are taking the limelight and the attention away from real victims that actually should be getting the limelight and should be getting justice, like those in the Epstein case, the Epstein trials. Wow, I'm going to have to do a video on that as well. There's so much to cover, guys. Let's get back to it.
To apologize for enjoying a song that is undeniably a masterpiece. I don't apologize. I'm not sorry. I'm not going to point my finger at other people. That's what Top G does. Top G can listen to a song. Top G doesn't fold.
Top goy.
Well, Myron Gaines, he posted a video where he was dressed as a Hasidic Jew and he danced around.
Yeah, that was funny as fuck. I think, normal people look at that and say, oh my God, Myron's crazy. Myron is funny as fuck, and that was actually the Top G response. That was actually the best response to do. Rather than just calling the song, saying, hey, it's a song, no big deal. He actually went full on, holy shit, fuck you guys, fuck the Jews. He went all the way attack mode to the other side, and that was actually pretty badass. Myron's a guy, he doesn't hate Jews either. He's not an anti-Semite either. He hates Zionists. He hates globalists and all that. Even he has Jews he works with. It's not about Jews. That's what they're trying to make this whole thing about. Oh, it's not about it's about our feelings. It's about anti-Semitism. It's about combating hate speech. Fuck all that shit. It's not about any of that shit. If you guys think it's actually about, protecting people's feelings, that's, we're so past that at this point. Anybody with a brain knows that it's not about just protecting poor people's feelings, unfortunate victims' feelings. We all know, and, I could go into that for fucking hours. We're not going to do that on this video. It's not about protecting people's feelings and actually being genuine about, defending virgin ears against hate speech or whatever. That's all bullshit to push their propaganda, to take over our rights, to take away our free speech. They attack our free speech by implementing these things such as hate speech. Oh, you can't say that. That's hate speech. Well, where's that line going to be? Because if we're not allowed to say things you don't like, then at what point are we going to decide what is and what is not hate speech? We already have incitements of violence. That'll give you jail time. What qualifies as an incitement of violence? It can be something very specific. It could be something pretty general, pretty darn general. But if it's towards the president, well, we have to go investigate it. And it's the exact same thing with hate speech. Well, what are protected classes? Are we just going to have hate speech against everybody? If we got to have hate speech, we have to be protecting everybody, right? Every class. No, they're not doing that. They have specific protected classes like Jews, like, like minorities, like lesbians, whatever the fuck. And then that's how they're starting out with it. That's what YouTube's hate speech policies are about. They're about protecting protected classes, as they call them, and that includes Jews, women, minorities. It doesn't include all of them, though. It doesn't really, maybe Asia. I don't think they really include Asians or specific groups. They don't really care about gay people anymore. It's just about protecting trannies, protecting feminist lesbians, protecting basically Indians, blacks. It's a fucking joke. And that's how it starts off, as specific classes that are protected. And then it becomes more and more ambiguous, where then it just starts infringing upon just all speech in general, where you can't insult, you're not going to be able to insult or critique. That's what it's really about, is critiquing anything. They're going to keep closing and closing the line in on us, to where eventually you're not even going to be able to critique any of these groups, and more specifically, you're not going to be able to critique the government. And that's why all of this free speech stuff is such a problem. It's one of the things I care about the most, because it's, once free speech is gone, society will crumble. There's no going back from that. If free speech gets taken from us as the people, there's absolutely no going back. We are fucked. We have to do an armed revolution or something to get the government back. We have to let the government crumble. Whatever ends up happening, whatever people end up doing, there will be no going back from that point. It's going to be like all-out war or all-out slavery, whichever comes first. So that's my my schizo ramble of why that's such a problem. And it's really not schizo. We could go into it for hours about, the actual evidence of this stuff happening. But this is for the enlightened people. This is for the woke people who actually know what's going on. I'm not really talking to the normies who don't know about this stuff. If you think that all this is crazy, well, you haven't really been looking into laws and policies and rules and regulations. So that's enough blabbering. This is going to be a long one, guys. Let me get back into the video here.
Clavicular, he defended the song online.
Yeah, this is viral. This is fucking everywhere, man. This is the sort of thing a 9-year-old boy finds funny. It's funny because we literally got a Jewish club in Miami Beach to play Hall Hitler, right? That's what makes it funny.
Said it's a norm.
I like how he says it. Clavicular says it like Hall Hitler. He doesn't know how to say Heil. He says Hall. I guess that's the autism coming out.
Normal music song.
Is the
about
song
violence.
not a masterpiece? Sonically?
Sonically, it's okay.
Come on.
It's okay. I'm a Kanye fan, right?
It's okay. The drums and everything, the triumphant nature of it, the horns.
Compared.
I think it might be Kanye's best song, really. I think it's better than anything on that album. Wow, I'm such a Kanye fan. I don't even know the name of his fucking album. What's his fucking album called? Best album. I really don't know that much about Kanye. I like his, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. No, that's not it. What's the one with the teddy bear? Oh, Graduation, right? Yeah, Graduation. I didn't like fucking anything on Graduation. I like his new shit is fucking banging compared to Graduation. But the Kanye nerds will probably say, yeah, Graduation was his best song, his best record ever, his best album ever. This nerd Vlad. Oh, I don't like his new song. It's anti-Semitic. I like Graduation. That's probably what he'd say.
To his other work, no, I wouldn't put it in the same caliber.
It's triumphant. There's power in that. Regardless of the lyrics, if you separate the Jewish aspect, I know.
Yeah, and as much as the song is great, I love the song. It's funny that people look at Kanye like he's some fucking prophet, like he's a god walking amongst men on earth. I remember one of my friends back in the day, he was talking about, I was talking about, it was my friend who really liked Kanye, right? He probably listened to every fucking album on repeat. And this guy would talk about Kanye all the time. He just loved Kanye. And I remember saying one time, I was like, man, what's with Kanye being like a prophet? Like, these people think Kanye is like the reincarnation of the Messiah, like he's some kind of fucking prophet. I was like, that's so weird, isn't it? And he was just quiet. He didn't say anything. I was like, oh shit, he's one of them. He's one of those guys that thinks that, isn't he? Yeah, people fucking love Kanye, and Kanye did a concert over here where I'm from, and I remember, and some of my friends, I didn't go, but my friends went to that show, and Kanye had like a schizo meltdown on the stage and started talking about, well, that's what they called it. I mean, to me, it's like normal. It's what I talk about. He started talking about Trump and politics and all this shit on stage, and it was right after that they said he was condemned into the like insane asylum or some shit. So yeah, that's pretty wild. But Kanye is part of the big music industry, right? Like, he's done so much work to stay separate and not be owned and bought and paid for by the music industry. But they still, they have a rope around his neck. They're lynching my nigga Kanye, and they won't let him take an inch. He can't move an inch, or they'll take a mile, and they'll fucking try to police everything he does, and they could try to control him. They took his kids away from him. I think Kim's fucking, isn't Kim turning their kid into like a fucking whore or some shit? I probably can't say that because she's a little kid, but what's her name? Northwest? Like, isn't Kim doing some crazy shit? Yeah, I don't even want to get into that. Well, maybe save that for another day, or just avoid that entirely. I don't really want to talk about that, but it's awful. It's awful what they've done to Kanye.
That there's a conflict of interest, but at the end of the day, niggas weren't heiling Hitler. Niggas weren't supporting the Nazi movement. The Nazis are done. The party doesn't exist.
Exactly, Sneeko. See, this is the big point, and it's kind of like you're arguing with a boomer brick wall to even have to explain this to them. They just don't understand that. Nigga, they hear, okay, you just said nigga Heil Hitler. Obviously, you're a Nazi. You're an evil Nazi. It's kind of missing the point. It's kind of missing the bigger picture of the song. It's not about, they say Nazis, Hitler. Oh, okay. He does say he reads reads 2 pages of Mein Kampf in the song. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, whatever. I guess you're right. I guess it's about the Nazis. Okay.
Nazi didn't like black people.
Yeah, Hitler's dead.
Right. But like in fact, in Germany, if you were mixed like Kanye's kids, they would actually go through a procedure where you couldn't actually have kids.
Yeah, and that's not even necessarily true what DJ Vlad is saying there. That's not necessarily even true. Just want to point that out. That is not factually correct.
They didn't want you polluting the pure German race.
So let's put
all of that. Hitler actually fought with I think he had an army of about, it was at least 60,000 Arab Muslim soldiers. And he actually gave them each, there was some battle where they did really good in, and Hitler actually gave them all like a little golden embroidered Quran. It was like a Quran medal or something as like a sign of respect because they fought so well. All of this stuff, like he was just slaughtering anybody of color. That was all a lie. I'm not gonna fucking go into that. I'll be immediately banned. But look up David, what's his name? David Irving. His work on World War II is really great. He digs up the facts, what actually happened. And yeah, all of Hitler wasn't really much different than like Trump, like what Trump has said in his first term, like we're going to deport all the illegals. That was the kind of stuff they were talking about back then. It wasn't like we're going to kill everybody that's mixed race. That's just fucking retarded and not true. But of course, DJ Vlad doesn't know that.
It's a context, like
right.
So
you do know about that, right?
Of course,
yeah. That's a real thing.
It's silly, nigga. How like this is also like they took my kids from me. They froze my bank account. I got so much anger in me.
Exactly. So yeah, I think you guys get the point. Sneako's spot on with that, spot on. But it's like at the same time, you're kind of arguing with the dumb boomer Vlad. He doesn't really get it. He's probably never going to get it. Just like people that see this video, people that see this video and get triggered, they're not really enlightened yet. They're not really woke yet. Their minds can't comprehend the ascension that people like us have attained. So we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna talk about the Andrew Tate Jack Neal podcast now to wrap it up. And this podcast for me, I think this was the one he did. I actually commented this video on this video. Where is it? Okay, yeah. So this is the Jack Neal Andrew Tate podcast. I actually commented on this one here. So I said, no one wants you to punch a Jewish fan in the face for being Jewish, because that's something he says in this video. They just want it. Well, I say they just want Israel to stop blowing up kids on taxpayers' dollar. That's kind of more the bigger point. Like, that's why people even have a problem with Israel to begin with. But specifically with Tate, I mentioned here after that, specifically with Tate, no one wants to see him apologizing for a song. He should have just said, fuck you, it's a silly song, it's not a big deal. But he's making it into a big deal. That's what I said 2 weeks ago on this video when it came out. And we'll play, this is very long, but we'll play at least the first couple minutes of this to finalize the nail in the coffin for Tate. I probably won't talk about him again on this channel, but we're going to get into some news and some other epic stuff. Yes. We need to get into the Epstein files, guys. The Epstein files are fucking crazy. The Epstein files are quite literally the thing that we have basically all been waiting for. They are the I'm talking about the nail in the coffin. They are the nail in the coffin that incriminates basically all of our elite leaders and all of our government here in the West and the United States. And it goes far beyond the United States in general. We're talking about almost all countries being compromised and being run by basically satanic pedophiles. As crazy as that might sound, that's basically what has been revealed with the files. And for everybody out there saying that this is all speculation and there's no actual evidence in the files, I highly recommend you actually read them and see some of the things that were being spoken about in them, because it will absolutely blow your mind. It is insane. So anyway, let's get into, that'll be a nice clip. So let's get into the Jack Neal, Andrew Tate podcast here.
We're good? Yes. Perfect. Andrew Tate, welcome back to the Jack Neal podcast.
Yeah, I think last time was Romania. I was locked up there, didn't have any prospect of getting free, and now here I am in a movie studio in LA. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, welcome to Hollywood. But yeah, we'll just get right into it. There was a recent clip of you and a few other influencers at a nightclub with Ye's song playing in the background. This quickly became an international incident.
You know what? I can't take a piss without getting an international incident. Do you have any idea the level of stress and heat that's on your head when you are constantly going through life thinking, if I stop at this donut store and buy a donut, it's going to end up an international incident? Yeah, I didn't expect that. Clav and Nick, who I'd never met before, they wanted to stream, so we started streaming, and then they talked about it being Nick's first day in the club. I thought I'd have to go and check it out, and of course, it was an international incident, of course.
Pause it right there. I like how the video just starts with Andrew Tate. He's like, yeah, last time I was in Romania, I was locked up in Romania and I had no prospect of getting out of prison last time. Yes, I was locked up and I was fearing for my life, and I don't know why I sound Irish, but I was fearing for my life and I had no prospect whatsoever of getting out. I thought I was doomed. And he's like smiling about it. It's like, I think prison really crushed Andrew Tate. I think that, I don't want to say it ruined him, but I think that Andrew Tate realized that he is, after all of that occurred, I think he realized that he is a small fish in a large pond. And, I'm sure he had people threatening him and communicating him, saying things to him that we will never hear on any of these podcasts. He realized, I think, that, people will kill him. People will throw him in prison. They will eliminate him and probably his family. And, even, and Andrew Tate is a human like any of us. If I was in his situation, I would probably start up my next video and say, yeah, guys, Kanye is terrible. Anti-Semitism's terrible. We need to respect the Jews, guys, and send money to Israel. Like, I'm sure I would do the exact same thing if it really came down to it. It comes to a point where you realize that, okay, what am I fighting for? What am I fighting against? Is my cause actually worth dying for? Is it worth harming my family? And I think that for probably 99% of people, it would not be worth whatsoever to die or put your family in harm's way. And even for somebody like, somebody that would indeed die for the cause, they wouldn't necessarily be willing to put that risk onto their family as well. So it's like, oh, okay, you can kind of understand where he's coming from. It's just like Dan Bongino, coming out of the FBI, retiring from the FBI within a year or after a year, whatever it was, and him saying that, oh, there was nothing to see here, guys. He goes, oh, there was nothing in the files, guys. There was nothing to see here, guys. Nothing whatsoever. Epstein hung himself. Yeah, totally. He hung himself. And it's like, well, I can everybody hates on Dan for it. Everybody's saying, oh, Dan's a fucking sellout. He's compromised. And that, that's true. He is. But at the same time, do you really believe that Andrew Tate could have, or Andrew Tate, we're talking about Dan Bongino here. Do you really believe that Dan Bongino could have just came out with the files, with everything that he had learned, with everything he knew, and exposed everybody in the files? Do you think he safely could have done that? No, somebody would have blown his brains out. He would have woken up He would have not woken up, rather. He would have died mysteriously in a car crash or from a coma, or he had a heart attack or a seizure mysteriously and would have died. You know, he would have mysteriously jumped off his balcony one day, and we would never have known what actually happened to him if he would have tried to come out with that information. Would he have been able to come out with it first? Maybe. And the fact that he didn't, or maybe he wasn't able to. Maybe if he would have even tried, well, for one, he wouldn't have been able to get it out, and then two, they would have killed him anyway. So, it is what it is. This is how I believe this is how corrupt the government is, where you probably can't even get close. What are we going to do? Get angry at Pam Bondi that Pam Bondi didn't come out and expose the files? I don't think she even has the power to. I think they would take her out before she even released anything. Let's just be real. But aside from her splurging out on camera, splurging the information, like saying, oh, so-and-so's in the file, these people are in the files, so-and-so did this, and then they would drag her off into a dungeon and then kill her. Like if she tries to actually come out with the real information, the real incriminating information, she's either going to be called crazy, nobody's going to believe it, or the people that do believe it, she won't have time to bring legal information, actual hard proof that could incriminate people, and it's as if she would even want to, right? She's in the club, she's in the big club that you're not in, and she doesn't want to. So to expect somebody like Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, one of these people to come out and expose all the truth, it's kind of a fantasy. It's kind of a whimsical fantasy here. So let's get back to I'm getting way off topic. I need to do a video about that, about what's in the files. Let's watch Andrew Tate and Jack Neal. Let's get it, guys.
Do you believe what happened to you was unfair?
Look, I've never said anything positive about Israel in my life ever. But I think this whole anti-Semitic movement online, if we're going to actually truthfully address it as professionals.
Yeah, if we're going to be real professionals, it's not really about any of this anti-Semitic stuff. All of that is kind of nonsense. And there are real racists, there are real anti-Semites. Those are the knuckle-dragging apes that we don't even have to actually discuss because there's so little and there's so few of them and they're so benign. We shouldn't even worry about these people. Let's be real.
Has it gotten out of control? I'm not sure. If I walk down the street and someone comes up to me and says, hey, Andrew, hey, I'm a huge fan. Hi, I'm from Israel. I'm going to say, okay, can I have a picture? Sure. Am I supposed to punch them in the face? Am I supposed to pull out a knife and stab them?
It seems like that's what some people want you to do.
Well, that's what people want.
Right, and that's exactly what I addressed in the comment. It's like, no, Andrew, nobody wants you to do that. Don't be fucking stupid. But that's what he's doing. He's being fucking stupid. He's kowtowing to the moral authority. Obviously, nobody wants you to do that. And yeah, maybe some guy on Twitter that posts about, Jews all day wants you to do that. They're, like I said, they're benign. They're insignificant. We don't even need to worry about those people. Like, come on.
Me to do, right? If someone comes
Total
up to me and
cop-out
says, hey,
argument.
Israel's government is justified in their genocide, I'm going to say, no, they're not. I think their genocide is completely disgusting. I disagree with nearly everything the Israeli government does. I would argue that the ADL has far too much control over American politics. I would argue there is certainly something strange with the amount of Jewish power that exists in the West. And also the powerful Jews who I meet and who I know brag about that.
Good. And shouldn't you, knowing all that information and you being aware of these realities, wouldn't a little online anti-Semitism be irrelevant? Isn't that kind of an obfuscation from the actual problem at hand, which is what he just discussed? That's the actual thing that is a detriment to our country at the moment. That's the actual thing that everybody's whining and crying about online. they're not whining about people having small hats and eating bagels. I mean, let's just be real. There are some of those people, and like I said, they don't matter.
They're not ashamed of that. They actually say, if you say to a Jew as a non-Jewish person, you control everything, they say you're anti-Semitic. But when you sit with them in private, they're like, we control everything. And they think it's...
Yeah, and that is what they do. And they don't even have to be in private. They say it publicly. They have said publicly on the news many times, yeah, we do run the music industry. Yeah, we do run Hollywood. Yeah, we do run social media. Well, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, we run this and we're the best. That's the attitude there. So which one is it? It's the same thing as feminism, right? It's like, which one is it? Are you a strong, independent woman, or are you a poor little victim that needs special aid and special help? Which one actually is it? It's the exact same thing with the whole racism matter as a whole, not even just with anti-Semitism, with the whole racism thing as a whole. These are the problems with it. This is why I talk about this stuff and why I despise it. It's such a joke. And on one hand, we're so past it. This stuff really doesn't matter. Like screw all this stuff. But on the other hand, no, it kind of does matter, because this stuff is what is dictating our current policies still, even to this day. This stuff isn't going to go away. Everybody in power supports this policy, supports these rules and regulations. So this is why we need to talk and do something about it.
Funny. So all of that, I've been very clear on my positions, but people seem to believe I should just, I don't know, walk around and randomly attack any man who comes up to me who hints that he...
Yeah, we're going to skip ahead a little. Nobody thinks that. That's just low IQ.
Have to be very honest. And maybe Nick Fuentes and Dan Bilzerian and people who are more extreme than me will disagree. I'm not sure. But I believe Dan Bilzerian had Jewish business partners. I don't know what Nick would do.
Yeah, shout out Dan Bilzerian. He's great. Yeah, and the thing about it is as well is that nobody is, I mean, this is still running in circles here, still talking about the same stuff. Nobody's saying that it's all Jews. We need to kill all Jews. This is fucking absurd. It's Zionist elites in control of our government. It's the globalists, right? It's the elites in control of Congress, of media, of all these big social media platforms that are running everything, that are dictating social engineering. They're the ones controlling social engineering. It's, it is what it is.
But if I came to film a movie in Hollywood, in a movie studio,
see, it's such a distraction to say, oh, what do you want me to do? Punch a Jew in the face? What do you want me to do if a fan from Israel, comes up to me and wants to shake my hand and he has a little hat? Am I supposed to punch him and stab him? Like, do you see how disingenuous this is? How absurd this is? What an obfuscation and distraction. People talk about distractions all the time. Oh, this is a distraction. That's a distraction. This 1000% is a distraction from the bigger picture. And this is one of the, I want you guys to really pay attention to Andrew and his distractions, because this same tactic is used in all regions of politics and society, arguments, debates, where they want you, they try to bring the focus over to a different topic. And it sounds pretty basic. It sounds pretty base level, but they do this in everything, and they do it in pretty sneaky ways where you might not even pick up on right away.
Or you sold out. They don't expect that. They want it because it's entertaining. We live in a world now where everyone is so bored and so numb, and watching a famous, important A-list celebrity like myself martyr himself. For the same reason I'd have a huge stream if I set myself...
He's not an A-list. I don't think you're A-list anymore. Tate fell off hard. Like, I don't mean to discredit him like that, but just realistically speaking, he's fallen off hard. In 2023, he was, the most Googled man on earth. He was, this guy was like a household name. He completely fell off the face of the earth. I don't know if it's because all these platforms got so good at banning him, or if he just stopped promoting he stopped all the Clippers. It was really all the Clippers clipping his content, mass producing his content, and spamming it on all these social medias. That was the driving force that got him really big. And, you know, of course, the controversial opinions, of course, helped, but he really just had the spammers going insane. And he was paying the spammers or the clippers in the real world to promote and clip his content. So that was really what got him so big. You know, now he's not even really a celebrity. He's like he's not like a movie level celebrity. He's just like he's like a normie level internet celebrity now, or a near top level internet celebrity, and even that's kind of he's kind of irrelevant at this point. He's nowhere near somebody like Mr. Beast, you know, the Stokes twins. He's like as relevant as somebody like Shane Dawson or somebody like that now.
On fire. Hi guys. Decided to
okay, well maybe a little more relevant than Shane Dawson. That's pretty fucking bad.
commit suicide today. I'm going to set myself on fire. I'd break the records. So they want me to go out and commit suicide. And I have to be honest.
This is the whole thing about this whole thing that he has done, though. Him coming out, disavowing the song, this is the suicide. Playing the song in the club wasn't the suicide. Nobody really would have cared about that. You know, yeah, the boomer media, the big news organizations that did publish articles about it, yeah, they care. They're pretty much irrelevant. All the young fans and people that are in the social media circle that know about him and see him as a relevant figure, they were all stabbed in the back, and they see this as the suicide, the kowtowing. This is the suicide. Playing the song, Sneeko playing the song in the club, if he even really played it like it was some kind of like hit, like he was trying to take out Andrew, that's ridiculous.
Although I think the ADL have too much influence, although I disagree with everything the Israeli government have done, although I think the genocide in Palestine was one of the most disgusting things we've ever seen.
And I know I keep stopping it a billion times. I'm gonna keep stopping it. I just want to mention on that as well. The ADL is not even supposedly very efficient or very good at what they do. The ADL, you know, will only back a candidate that they basically know is already gonna win. But what's to stop somebody, a large Jewish donor such as, let's say, the founder of OnlyFans, he supposedly gave the ADL like a $10 million donation a couple years back. They said that was fake. Supposedly he didn't really do that. But what's to stop a guy like him? What's to stop a guy like Joe Rogan? Or what's to stop a guy like Elon Musk just handing a politician a huge sum of money under the table and not telling anybody? See, this is what these people actually do. These Larry Fink, Larry Ellison, I'm trying to think of the other guys, but there's so many of them. Oprah Winfrey, you know, anybody with money can just slide a huge pile of cash to somebody under the table and say, hey, you better do this, this, and this, and enjoy, you know. Or like in Epstein's case, they're not handing them money. They'll hand them other things. They'll hand them cream cheese and beef jerky and grape soda, and tell them, okay, you got to do this, this, and this, and they have to, or they're gonna get blown the fuck out. They're gonna get exposed. They're gonna get they're gonna be blacklisted out of the circle, or they'll be knocked down a few pegs where they don't have as much influence anymore. That's how the whole thing works.
If I was filming a movie with 300 film crew and one of them was Jewish, no, I wouldn't quit the movie. If a man comes up to me and shows me respect and he's Jewish, I'm not going to punch him in the face. I'm going to treat him with respect because he shows me respect. Perhaps I'm not anti-Semitic enough for the internet anymore. I don't know. But I'm not going to change and bend on my views because there's a whole bunch of people who think I should. And I'd like to actually talk to Nick about this and understand his point of view on this. I wonder what he would do in those scenarios. But I'm a big person. And I'm not an internet streaming clown. I'm a genuine A-list celebrity. In fact, I've been told multiple times by many different people that I am literally the most famous man in the world. I've been told that.
Oh my fucking God. his ego is just out of control. It's like, Tate, you were the most Googled man on the planet. You're not really anymore. You know, you got to understand these things come in waves. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio is the most popular celebrity this year because of some movie. And then he's not the next year. You know, like, what are you talking about? Jack is looking at him like, what the fuck are you, what the fuck is this guy talking about right now?
That I was the most Googled man in the world. And after being locked in my house for 3 years, I thought, everyone's over Andrew Tate. Maybe it's all over. No one cares. I can't go anywhere. If I walk down the street, I am flooded in every city on the planet, everywhere I go. Today I met Chinese Trump. You've seen Chinese Trump?
No.
No, he's a
Chinese Trump is funny. But no, to him, that does make sense that, yeah, to him, okay, when you get over a certain level of fame, basically any more fame than that doesn't matter because, yeah, you're going to be stopped everywhere you go. He's probably at that level.
Chinese guy who does Trump impressions. I just met him coincidentally here in LA, and he says, "You have no idea how famous you are in China." I was like, "In China?" He goes, "No." He goes, "No Westerners are famous in China, but you are." It's like, "Am I?" I met Steven Seagal's son, who told me that his school project, or the school project of all the young men in his school, was about me, and he goes to school in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Like, I can't go anywhere. So I am literally one of the most famous people on the planet. I'm not some nobody streamer who can do these silly things. I have very important things going on. I make hundreds of millions of dollars. I have to work with all sorts of people. And some of them are Jewish. That's fine. They know my point of view on Israel. They know.
See, the thing for Tate to do then at this point would be to simply not be on the internet anymore. Just retire, bro. Just retire, bro. Pull out your fat stacks of money. Put all your cash in the passenger seat of your Bugatti and just not worry about the internet anymore. He has the money. Like I was speaking about earlier, how Tate has climbed to the top of the Matrix. He's the leader. He's the top goy of the Matrix. He doesn't have to be a part of the Matrix anymore. He could buy his little private island. He could buy his plot of land out somewhere. I'm sure he can find somewhere that he can buy a nice chunk of land at and just live there in peace. But at the same time, yeah, there might be some government that tries to come throw him in prison. Because of his fame, he probably will always have that as a thing that he has to look out for. But really, he has the money to do that. He has the money to separate himself from the Matrix, or at least try. But I don't think he really understands how. He doesn't understand that he needs to literally get out of the big cities. He needs to go live out in nature, way far away from civilized society, and be isolated, and use that money to his advantage to protect himself, to hide his privacy, and then he truly could slip through the Matrix's grasp. But I don't think he really even worries about that at this point. He's like, well, I'll just use my money to brute force battle anything that comes my way, and I'll be fine. But we saw even him, anybody, even somebody like him, can get allegations and be locked up in jail. We all have seen that.
My point of view on the genocide. They know my point of view on the ADL. But business is business, and they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. You have your point of view, I have my point of view. We're all intelligent adults. We're rational. I disagree with them on loads. They disagree with me on loads. We get things done. If I start...
Right, but if those same Jewish business partners will not work with you for a simple song being played in a club, they are fucking stupid. Let's just be real.
Walking around attacking Jewish people. How the fuck does that work? That's not even rational. Someone said to me, they said, Andrew...
that's so... Let's skip ahead a little bit here. Let's see what he says about... he talks about Nick Fuentes. I am not the biggest fan of Nick Fuentes. I think his flip-flopping is pretty disgusting. Nick Fuentes started out as a guy who was all pro-Trump, totally make America great again, right? He basically started that movement, got all the young guys flocking towards Trump and voting for Trump. After Trump's first term, he immediately, it seemed like, felt betrayed by Trump. He started saying, wow, Trump's not really doing everything I thought he would do. Trump's kind of not the president I voted for. And then he went right towards voting for Trump again the second time, and then being even more disappointed after Trump won. And Trump started doing what he was, and Trump basically switched the script on everybody and started doing kind of the opposite of what he was talking about for so long. Nick felt betrayed by that and was openly talking about that on his podcast show. And now he has went right back to being a magatard, to being, yeah, Trump is awesome. Trump's the best. Regime change in all these different countries. Yeah, let's have America take over the whole world and take over the whole Western Hemisphere. Yeah, like what happened to the whole America First movement fell apart, and it's gone well beyond America as a country itself, and they are worried about global control now. This has moved from America First to the New World Order as a political movement, and it's really, really sad. There is a very damning clip of Nick that I saw just today that I would like to, we're going to have to go over that. It was so crazy. But in the meantime.
And saying we need to gas all the Jews. If any of them mattered, they wouldn't be online anymore.
But do you not think Nick Fuentes has suffered for his views?
Absolutely he has. Nick is someone who has suffered, which is why I respect Nick. Which is why Nick, after the outrage of this little clip, said, I totally understand Andrew's position. Because Nick is a smart person. But then there were some other streamers who were pretending that what I did was somehow wrong.
I think it's, you can understand his position and see that it's wrong. It's right from a self-preservation point of view for just strategically, but you still have to admit it's it's morally the wrong decision. What he did is basically under no circumstances the right decision. It's just that we can understand how and why he did it because of his circumstances. It doesn't make it right. It just makes it, okay, yeah, we get why you're cucking, Andrew, but you're still a fucking cuck. That's basically what it boils down to.
That's because they're nobodies. Nobodies, of course, have a view. But Nick seems to understand me quite well, and he's the most famous anti-Semite of all. And even he is saying, I understand Andrew's position. And he has suffered for his views, of course. But even Nick is not that extreme. Nick tells people on his show, don't go around screaming, all the Jews, don't go.
Even Nick has Jewish friends. Even Nick has tech teams in Israel, right? But, that's another thing about Nick is he says, basically, don't do anything, guys. Don't do anything about anything. Just infiltrate the government, become CIA agents, become FBI agents, become Secret Service, become government officials, and just become part of the system. And obviously, if you just do that, no real change is going to come about, obviously. You're just going to be enforcing the system that's already in place. But, yeah, and supporting the crooked college system. He says, go get college degrees, go become members of Google and big tech companies and infiltrate, as if like you're going to infiltrate it from the inside out. No, he's just telling young men to go become part of the system. And it's pretty pathetic.
Around saying, Hitler, don't let everyone know at your university you're an anti-Semite. That's not intelligent. That's not smart.
Yeah, and that's accepting all of this that he speaks of is from the perspective that being labeled an anti-Semite, being labeled a racist, being labeled a homophobe, being labeled a transphobe, that all of this actually matters, right? He's putting a lot of weight on these terms, words, and conditions that in reality don't actually matter whatsoever. These words have been used as, they're basically spells, right? Like people say, oh yeah, words are spells. Writing a sentence is casting a spell. That's basically what they actually mean by that. When you are putting these labels and words on people to incriminate them, to belittle them, to get the rest of the herd to turn against them, that is exactly that. You are putting a curse on somebody. You're putting a label on somebody that then the dumb people don't have any problem. They don't have any qualms with attacking this person because they're labeled as such. They don't understand the nuance and the intricacy of the situation. They just think, oh, this guy's an anti-Semite. Let's go kill him. That's, we saw a lot of that in the ICE protests with, who was that guy, Nick Sorter? I've made some videos on him, who got his camera stolen by Somali immigrants. This one of the guys, after he gets his camera stolen, is like, yo, get the hell out of here, dude. You're a racist. He's like, you're a racist. We just robbed your ass. And it's like, yeah, just because even if he was, for one, he's not. But even if he was a racist, that doesn't make it okay to steal his shit and then threaten violence upon him. But of course, we can't argue with rocks here. These guys don't understand any of that. They're just stupid. So it's kind of, it's kind of like you're running in circles again. You're chasing fucking fucking dust or something. Like, it's kind of irrelevant to even worry about that stuff. It's kind of just like, okay, we gotta do what we can do. We gotta take the information that we know. It's good to educate the lesser-minded folk, but it's time to ultimately move on and actually move towards a greater future, right?
Whereas other streamers are saying, no, you need to tell them all to fuck off all the time. You can't win that way. When you're actually a really important person in a culture war, and I am one of them, you win the culture war by pointing everyone in the correct direction and allowing momentum to do the rest. It is my job as the most followed man on the planet to 1% point in a direction. The Matrix is controlling your life. And I get people to think about it, and then they research, and then they work it out themselves. If I don't allow people to work it out themselves, and instead I explain it all, I get shot in the head. Then I can't help anybody.
Wow, then you're Charlie Kirk, Andrew? Is that what you're saying here? Well, and the thing about the feds, right? We like to call anybody that we don't like a fed. Andrew Tate's a fed. Nick Fuentes is a fed. Alex Jones is a fed. He's one of the old-timer feds, right? What the fuck's her name? Candace Owens is a fed, right? Wow, I fucked up the clip. What would the job of the Fed be, right? If somebody that's trying to free somebody from the Matrix, their job is to push people in the right direction and let the people do the actual work. What would the job of the Fed be, right? Well, the job of the Fed or the disinformation agent would be to push people in the wrong direction. Their job would be to, no, let's not actually make the real problem the focus. Let's push people towards a irrelevant topic. Let's push people towards a distraction, whether it be a big one. We could have, basically, the bigger the distraction we can come up with, the more people we can ultimately deceive from a larger time frame, as in the more people overall over a large period of time. And echoing further into the future, we can confuse more and more people and lead them to a specific direction that's going to throw them off and basically confuse the most people. If we can come up with the biggest lie and the biggest distractions, we can confuse more and more people. While as then there's little distractions all about. There's the Super Bowl, there's Diet Coke, there's Costco chicken, whatever minuscule, minute bullshit we can confuse people with. We can throw that out all day and confuse people with that all day. But if we come up with big distractions, we can actually sort of warp the passage of time and confuse people for millennia. And it's quite possible that these feds, these agents, maybe this is what they're working on. And how do we determine who is and who isn't a fed? Well, what is their main direction they're pointing people to? Is it actually one of distraction? Is it actually a reasonable solution? I think we as individuals have to just figure that out for ourselves.
To win the war, it's my job to point people in the right direction and let them do the rest. Now, some of those people who are pointed in the right direction are so silly and so stupid and so treacherous, they will now turn around and yell at me, hey, you showed me the beginning, but you didn't show me the end. You're a traitor. You're a sellout. I showed you the beginning.
Right, and those people are basically the ones to not worry about. So why are you even talking about them?
Yes. I know at the bottom and the top.
These are like the 40 IQ people. And Tate himself has actually talked about this, how laws are made for the lowest common denominator. You know, there's not a speeding sign, there's not a speed law in your neighborhood because everybody's going to speed and kill themselves and kill each other by speeding. It's because it's to stop the lowest common denominator, right? And even with the speed law, the speed rules, it's still not going to stop everybody. There's still going to be some idiot who's going to just ignore it anyway or not know about it or whatever, who's going to just, you know, end up causing an accident. It's inevitable. And that's why I think it's not even important to discuss such people. But now, and you know, Tate directly said that before. The speed rules are for the lowest common denominator. Rules and laws are for the lowest common denominator. Therefore, the stupid people, because if they're there to protect the stupid people, the smart people basically already know that rule or how to get around it or how to work with it. The dumb people will break it, and rather, if they do break it, they're going to have big problems, but it's there to protect mainly those people. He directly himself has talked about this before.
Love me. There'll be billions of generated dollars. Why?
But now we have him here pandering and kowtowing to the lowest common denominator. Like, what are you doing, bro?
You sold out, bro. It's like, you know, the sad thing about it, truthfully, Jack, when that happens, you start to understand why everyone sells out. You start to sit there and go, what the fuck am I fighting for? Why am I trying to help these clowns? I show them the beginning. I was the one who woke the world up only 2 years ago. It was me. I went to jail for it. I suffered for it. Me, alone, by myself. I did it. And now they're saying, you showed me the beginning, but not the end because you're a traitor.
You can't show the end.
I can't show the end. Not that I don't know the end. I can't show the end. I know so much more than I can say. But if I say it, we're going to lose. Because unless I keep showing people the beginning, the war's over. And they're going to put a bullet in me. So it makes me sit and calculate all the money I've turned down. All the beautiful red carpet events. All the pussy I could have fucked. All the fun I could have had. Could have been on fucking Jeff Bezos's fucking yacht. Could have done all these things. I've done none of it. Because I wanted to point people in the right direction. And what thanks do I get? What thanks do I get when I finally fly to America after a year and I meet up with a couple guys and they play a silly song. And instead of saying, yeah, gas all the Jews, I sit and say, look, I understand why the song's offended some people. I didn't play it. I didn't actually play it.
This is the absolute lowest IQ response anybody could possibly have. And the fact Tate could have this and think people would think this is okay is absurd. I mean, Tate's done. He's never coming back from this. He's absolutely done. This is pathetic. He truly has become Cypher from the Matrix. It's pretty sad to see what has become of him. I mean, I really liked some of his original stuff when he came out, you know. That is just disgraceful. That is absolutely disgraceful here. Here's another one. We're not going to continue the rest of the interview. It's just more and more the same. I think they do eventually talk about the fight. But, yeah, Tate is done, guys. He has become Cypher from the Matrix. You know, a lot of people say, okay, you know, Tate, how didn't you see he was a Fed from the beginning? You know, we all saw through him at the beginning. The only people that say that are pretty much the libtards. Like, a lot of what Tate said at the beginning was pretty good. But it wasn't revolutionary either. It was just that it was, like I said, clipped and spread on such a wide channel. It was so widespread that it became popular, became a household name. And now we have him going back on all his principles, all the things he built his platform on. And we have Cypher from the Matrix. He literally looks like Cypher from the Matrix. So that's gonna do it for this one. I'm gonna probably jump right into another one about news. And we need to do the Epstein files and Pam Bondi. This stuff is hilarious, guys. Click the like button, subscribe down below, and check out the channel for more if you like this video. Peace out, guys.